What's going to happen? You know, hockey talk's big in the city, especially with the NHL trading deadline looming near. Irfaan Gaffar from Sportsnet, great to see you.
Great to see you guys as well.
Following along on those Canucks.
Busy times. Where do we start? Zack Kassian, hottest Canuck of the last month. What do you do with this? Do you sell high or do you keep it stuck?
Well, Zack Kassian right now is, I would say, the most polarizing figure on the Vancouver Canucks hockey team. I mean, the guy's got 7 goals in his last 10 games. He leads the team in goals since the All-Star break, which is something that I don't think anyone saw from Zack Kassian. I mean, he has the potential. He's a big body, 24 years old. He can shoot, he can take the puck to the net, but then it's the on-again, off-again kind of thing with Zack Kassian. So, you know, he has 7 games where he plays good. He could have 10 where he doesn't play good at all. You know, Jim Benning has said that teams have called about him. I'm not sure that a deal gets done with just Zack Kassian alone. It might be part of a package deal if the Canucks do anything with him. But again, it's Kassian's probably one of the most interesting pieces around the Canucks right now.
Let's talk about net minding now.
Okay.
Yeah, so obviously Ryan Miller out. It's all things go to Eddie Lack. Do you think there's a possibility that a goaltender could be in the mix?
I don't think so, not at all. I mean, they have Jacob Markstrom, their safety net that's in Utica. He's one of the best goalies in Utica right now, but Eddie Lack has proven that, you know, he can take the workload. He did it last year. He played 19 straight games under John Tortorella, but, you know, it's funny. Everyone says that everyone loves the backup until the backup becomes the starter. So now Eddie Lack's the starter, and can he take that pressure? Can he play the 16 games in March that the Canucks have? You know, they play every other night, 10 of them at home, which is a good thing, but, you know, it is going to be a very, very demanding schedule for Eddie Lack, and, you know, he's proven that he can handle the workload. It's just a matter of him being able to, you know, just get those wins if the Canucks aren't scoring, the 1-0 wins, the 2-1 wins, which he's proven he can do on this road trip.
Yeah, what did he play, like 19 games straight last season after Luongo stepped aside and moved on to Florida? Quick comments on Chris Higgins. I mean, he was once a great offensive force for us. He's kind of gone quiet. Seems like he's a good guy in the locker room. Do you stay with this, or is it time to move on and go with the youth movement?
I think Chris Higgins is a great guy in the locker room. He's a great guy for the team. He had his last 5 games, he hasn't scored, but he did tie a career high in points for the 6 games before that. He had a 6-game point streak going. He's got a no trade clause, and I know that he really likes it here in Vancouver. I think his fiance is from the Vancouver area, so he does love his time here. I think it's kind of a Ryan Kessler type thing where, you know, he has a list of teams that he will go to if he gets moved, but you know, it's been tough for him. You know, he plays on the Canucks second line, and, you know, Nick Bonino's been injured, Alex Burrows has been injured, you know, Radim Verbata has kind of played up and down on the top line and that line, so you kind of, if you don't get that chemistry with your lineup or with your teammates on that line, it's kind of hard for you to get some points. But, you know, night in, night out, this guy battles and he plays really hard.
You just made everybody watching groan when you said this is like Ryan Kessler. One thing we do not enjoy around the deadline is a no trade clause. Let's talk about spare parts. Hearing rumors that the Canucks might be interested in Phil Kessel.
No, I mean, I don't think the Canucks would be interested in Phil Kessel at all. I did see that rumor that was circulating out there. I mean, Phil Kessel's a fantastic player. Yes. There's no doubt about it that he can put the puck in the net at any point in time. But, you know, that cap hit and how much money that Phil Kessel's making, especially the term on his contract, the Canucks would not be interested. But, you know, Phil Kessel would be good for maybe a rental player for some teams, or if a team's looking to build for the future and willing to take on that money that he's making, you know, I can see him being a great pickup for some teams.
So looking at this core, looking at what happened in Buffalo last night, when we want the Canucks to do well, make the playoffs, what do you think is going to happen come Monday by this trade deadline? Do you think GM Jim Benning makes a big blockbuster move or stays put?
I don't think he makes the blockbuster move that everyone thinks he's going to make. I think he might tweak. He said before that he wants to tweak without giving up assets. You know, the Jared McCanns, the Jake Virtanens, the Bo Horvats, they're untouchable. So that's not going to happen. I think if he does tweak, you know, maybe look for another defenseman, another maybe a fourth line guy or even a third line guy, but I don't think he makes any big blockbuster moves.
So it's not a blockbuster year for the Canucks. Who do you think is going to make the biggest blockbuster shakeup in this trade deadline?
Well, the Toronto Maple Leafs did it yesterday by trading the unmovable contract of David Clarkson for a guy that Nathan Horton, which Canuck fans would remember in 2011, played for Boston, was here, who might not ever play a game in the NHL again. So it was pretty much just a salary dump for them. But talking to Sportsnet's Chris Johnson a couple days ago, he says that the Leafs aren't done.
It's
that the
gonna
Leafs,
continue.
it might continue.
It's funny watching the guys
guys.
that get traded away from the Leafs. They immediately change their avatars on Twitter. It's like, I'm out.
See ya.
It's
See you later,
so
Toronto.
polarizing there right now. I can't even imagine what it's like in that room.
Yeah, no, and I, again, like you said, can't imagine what's going on in that room. Another team that may be busy at the trade deadline is the Montreal Canadiens. There was rumors before Jaromir Jagr went to Florida that he may join the Montreal Canadiens, but, you know, since he's gone to live in the
Panther.
Sunshine State, exactly, him and Roberto Luongo are having some fun there. But, you know, the Montreal Canadiens, I think, might be able to do something, you know, to add a forward and maybe even a defenseman for depth, also heading into this big playoff run.
It's interesting. We're looking at some Jaromir Jagr vids right there. Last night we were talking about this when the big trade went down. And we're, how old is that guy?
Still 43
He's 43 years old.
43 years old.
Still
So
playing.
two fantastic stats. So Aaron Ekblad, 19-year-old defenseman that plays for Florida. Jaromir Jagr scored his 200th goal the day he was born.
Right. And the Florida
Wow.
Panthers came into the league. What was the stat?
1993.
Right.
Jaromir Jagr made his debut. He was drafted in 1988.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, oh man.
There you have it.
It's going to be interesting. What's going to happen come Monday?
We'll be tuned in Monday. It starts at 5 a.m. on Sportsnet Pacific, sportsnet.ca, or if you're going to be very busy, man.